Welcome to the Awakening Table. We are Calliope and Petros, and we created this channel as a means to share our experience of going through the dark night of the soul, both current and in real time, and past experience already had. And all through an open, raw discussion around the table. We do this knowing others are going through it, and we hope sharing our experience may help you with your journey.
If you enjoy our videos and content, please show us some love by hitting the like button and subscribe and the notification bell to be notified when our new video is out. Thank you. Today we'll be talking about what is the dark night of the soul and what triggers it for us and why we think it happens.
Can you recall the first time, even before you knew what it was?
Yes, I do recall like I had a very traumatic experience when the Dark Night of the Soul happened, and I was feeling isolated, scared, alone, confused, lost, and I didn't even know what the Dark Night of the Soul was. And the only thing I knew, like I did my research on like Carl Jung, and I understood what the shadow work was. So I was working on myself with that. And then,
Was that instinctive? Because for me, I went into a state of panic first. Like, what the hell is going on? I didn't even think about shadow work or because when we talk about what triggered it for us, you'll know a bit more. But in the end, it was good news for me. But I still went on this dark night of the soul, as it comes to be known.
yeah, everything was like what you said was very traumatic. I was very frightened for a while. I was even stunned as well. Like I was had to keep had breaks, but I was had that urge to keep seeking of what was out there. So I was looking for knowledge. I
Was
was
that early on for you, or
very early on the beginning of that
wow?
trauma. I just like I looked for ways of finding out what the truth was. So I looked at things that I went through my like via my instincts. Like astrology was one of them. Then from astrology, I found um, uh, Carl Jung, like psychology, and that's when I found out about the shadow side. And then I
Oh,
kind of felt like, oh, I need to work on my layers. So, and then I also looked at like Egyptian things, like basically majority of it was like the Egyptian, like
yeah.
that's what it started off with for me. So, like Thoth, the Hermetic principles. So I worked on that on my own. So,
Okay, and that came to you instinctively in the early stages of all of this.
early
What
stages.
did you think was happening? Because for me, when it happened, right, and this, we're in 2023 as we record this, coming to the end of 2023. This started at the start of 2023 for me. Um, what did you think before you sort of come to realize, okay, this is a dark night of the soul, and the term dark night of the soul? What did you think was going on when everything just sort of started falling apart?
Well, at first I was like, how do I beat this? Like, because I could feel that there was like for me, it started around 2019 or around about COVID. But like what I was feeling was like I was in shock. I was confused. I was like, what's going on in the world? I can feel all the vibration. I was
Hmm.
like, I want to get to the bottom of it. So I was like, but I was frightened at the same time because I've been alone, doing my own thing, enjoying my life and that. And I was like, I started questioning things. So that's what made me go on this journey.
That was a big factor for me too. Like I was like life as I knew it had just instantly ceased to exist. That's what it felt like. Like a knife came through and just bang, cut the cord.
Mm.
Um, and in amongst all that panic and that despair and that oh my god and anxiety, it was like every question you could think of in these circumstances would come through. Why me? What's this about? What
Hmm.
did I do to deserve this? And all of that. Um, I guess for me, the whole doing work on self came a bit later.
Hmm.
But did you know the term Dark Night of the Soul at that point?
No, I did not. To be honest, I knew that of that word when I found, like when I met you, like in
Okay.
2000, this year. So
Yeah.
basically, I didn't even know what that meant. But the whole time I've been going through the dark night of the soul, not knowing that what that's what it means.
Yeah.
So, but I have been working on the shadow. I have been working on my layers like throughout the years.
Mm.
I've been like trying to find out what my trauma is. Why am I going through this? What? And I'm learning from experiences. So, like, if something bad happened to me, then I sit with it, and then I figure out whether it's something I need to learn, something I don't know about, or is it something, a conditioning that I
Yeah.
had to work on. So yeah.
Well, I suppose that's the perfect segue into one big question that I had, and I think it's important to have it as a topic of this discussion, is why do you think it happens to us? Why do you think we go through a dark night of the soul?
I think that we just need to I feel that we're evolving a lot in this world, and I feel like that this happens to us so that we can open our eyes and see how much we've taken for granted of this world,
Yeah.
and also that we need to figure out the self and know thyself, like that, because I started off with the Hermetic principles and Thoth and knowing thyself, so learning about the ego,
Yeah.
and that came across at the beginning for me too. So I was writing the ego, wrote down what is the ego, and I wrote down what is your true self, and that,
Yeah.
so it came about like that. And then I had the reason why I think that this happens to us, so that we can learn to grow and learn from our experiences, acknowledge what's happening, see what's happening in our surroundings, and also to perhaps help people along the way.
It's a very interesting set of points you make there, because a couple of things that came through for me when I think about why do we go through this, I think, and especially today with all the technologies and all the rubbish reality TV and all of these things, it's very easy to become something or someone you're not for all sorts of reasons, just to escape or to please others, to please our job, to please our families, whatever. And I think it gets to a point where we just, that authentic false living runs its course. And I think part of the purpose of life is to, well, to die before you die, if that makes sense, and to step into your, as you said, your true self, your real self, to, I'll say subdue the ego, because I don't know that you ever totally kill the ego, because we need some ego in this physical life. But the idea is to somewhat calm the ego, make it more flexible, but connect with something that is beyond just our mind. Now, I sit here and say it so easily, but as you and I know, and for anyone out there that's going through it or been through it, it's anything but easy, and it takes time, because that's the other thing. Did you find that going through it, you struggled with the idea that time was not a factor? This thing will run its course in its own time.
Well, at the beginning, I thought there was there was a time limit, so I was panicking, I was freaking, so I was like working 10 times harder to find the truth. So I would
Yeah.
like have sleepless nights, finding out
Yeah.
this information, and then it's like then I'll get to the wrong information, so going down the rabbit hole.
And you know what? I don't know if you guys out there did the same thing. I did it. You have this ticking of the clock, time's running out.
Yeah.
You're only here for a limited time. Tick tock, hurry up. And it's very ego based. It's very social conditioning, linear living, schedule, rather than allowing a natural flow of unfolding in life. And you're right. There are times where you either don't sleep very well or you don't sleep at all.
Yes.
For the most part, I've slept, but there have been times where I slept lightly because the brain's going overtime. There'll be times where, I'd go to bed at whatever, 10, 11 o'clock at night. I'm a bit of a night owl. I usually go to bed 11 or 12, sometimes 1 o'clock. But I won't actually fall asleep until 5 o'clock in the morning, because, I'm trying to force myself to sleep, because I'm forcing my mind to stop. And of course, the more you do that, the louder it gets. But it's interesting. I think it's almost like a rite of passage for us all to go through it, at least one major dark night of the soul. So I've been through it before, back in 07, 08 to 09, and it was intense, but this one is a much deeper, more intense dark night of the soul. So
as you were saying that, like I feel that I've had this experience before, but maybe I didn't pay attention to the signals. So maybe I was like already working on myself, like, but at the same time, I was ignoring some things. So
yeah,
until the COVID is like the big one, the big shift for me. So I was like, okay, there's something real serious, something I really need to dig into. And
well,
then yeah,
it's an interesting point you say that you maybe have gone through it before. I reckon a lot of people have gone through it, but it's been misdiagnosed as mental health illness. And let me say here, this video or any of our videos is not in lieu of professional help. If you think you need professional help, and it's not to downplay any mental health issues, when I say what I'm about to say. So please don't use this as an excuse not to get help if you need it. But I just think, and being someone who is a mental health practitioner, I just think sometimes some of these diagnoses are people going through a dark night of the soul. They'd be better served being helped to get through it. But I think the other thing that happens is people go through these dark nights of the souls. They try to avoid them rather than face them because they want to go back to when things were at least comfortable and familiar.
yeah,
And that prolongs the process because even if you manage to push it back, it'll catch up with you eventually.
I agree. Yeah,
And I think that's one of the major difficulties is accepting the dark night of the soul and
yeah,
saying, you know what, I'm in it. I'm going to go through it. So be it.
yeah.
Because it's bloody scary.
It is scary.
It's difficult. You still got to manage your everyday life somehow.
Hmm.
Yet you got to go through this thing that you don't have any real control over, and it's putting you through a process that is arguably the most intense process you'll ever go through.
100%. Yes, because I've been like living alone for a long time, and I've had very selective friends. And then, like when I went through this experience, like I felt like I could not talk to anyone, and or no one could understand what I was going through, or was losing my mind, or whatever. It was like really hard. But as you said, it's very intense. But I wanted to face it. I wanted to know the truth. I wanted to, even if I had to go within myself and figure it out and ask more questions, whether I asked my mum, my dad, my brother, my sister, and then yeah,
Anyone that would listen.
anyone that would listen, 100%.
Although
So
eventually you learn to ask people who get it as well, because not
yes,
everyone's going to be able to answer
yeah.
or answer appropriately.
Mm.
Um,
And that was a tough one for me because, like, I had to learn how to build trust again. So yeah, and it's been a big journey, a major journey.
One of
Mm.
the things I say to clients of mine is, because you said before you wanted to go through it, and I also want to go through it without shortcuts. I want to do the work, as I figure it out. And what I say to my clients is, when you go through this, it's one of the greatest shit things you'll ever go through.
Mm-hmm.
Shit because it is shit house to go through it
Yes.
on such a deep, intense level. But great because when you do get through it, and like I said, I've been through it once before, and I know going through it now, I'm heading towards something pretty big for me, at least in the context of my life. When you get through it, you just so thankful for it
Mm-hmm.
and so gracious for it. Like I said, when you're going through it, you don't feel that way, and
Yes.
really, it won't feel that way. At least not beyond an intellectual level.
Mm.
It won't feel that way until you've gone through it, until you've finished what you need to finish.
Yeah.
And we'll talk more about the loneliness of it, the time, and all of these other topics around Dark Night of the Soul in other videos. But let's look at, what triggered it for you, because there's no one thing that can trigger it.
Yeah, there was many triggers, like, because I was just living my own life, minding my own business. I stopped watching news, anything that was negative around
Yeah.
me, trying to find myself, enjoy my life, figure out like what triggered it for me, the shock of the vibration of humanity. Like I was like,
Does
uh,
that mean like you were sort of fed up with what was going on in the
yeah,
world and it just sort of affected you?
yeah,
Or
yes, 100%. Like I felt like I think there's something else to life than these experience, like how life is. Like I feel like that we shouldn't be caged up and all that. So I believe in free will. So I feel like that I need to find out truth, and I don't like the lies. For me, I just want the truth, nothing but the truth, and I want that for every humanity as well as the universe. The Yes, so that's what got me there. So
So everything that was going on and all of that, and I guess the lockdowns. For those of you who don't know, we're in Melbourne, Australia. Yes, the most locked down city in the world at the time. Um, it kind of gets you to do a bit of a review and a rethink, which really is what is the main key to starting the dark night of the soul. So for me, I had a misdiagnosis of an illness. It was 3 months before it was discovered that it was a misdiagnosis, and it was just before Christmas of 2022, and it wasn't until January of 2023 that I found out it was a misdiagnosis. Now, during that 3 months, I lost so much weight from the anxiety of thinking, I had what I was misdiagnosed with. I didn't take it very well at all. But when I got the good news that I was in the clear, I was happy for a day. But then it just got me thinking and reflecting on just my life. And, at the time, I'm 46 now. I was 45 at the time. And I thought, I've gotten to 45. Have I really stepped up the way I wanted to? And so began the existential / spiritual crisis spiral. And it's been a journey ever since. And that's what triggered it for me. It was a health scare, and which led to sort of a life review and asking all the typical deep questions. And it's been a journey since. So that's what the trigger was for me. Maybe you could let us know in the comments below what the trigger was for you. It'd be interesting to see what other ways this gets started for people. And it's not easy because even now, almost a year on, for me, I think I wish things in some way could go back to how they were.
Yes, I had that feeling too.
Yeah,
yes.
but then you think how things were wasn't right either. What we're really wanting is the discomfort of going through the dark night of the soul to stop.
Yeah, and sometimes I feel like that we were meant to go through the hurdles in life, whether it's good or bad, for a reason to get to the dark night of the soul. Because like, if we didn't go through these experiences, then we wouldn't be asking these deep questions. We wouldn't be going through these motions and trying to figure out what is going on.
Well, there's an old saying that says iron begets iron, which means that to make iron sharper and stronger, you rub it up against iron. And it's pressures and challenges that make us better and that make us grow. And we are a species that needs that evolving and that progression on a deeper level. But we can't do it if we're living inauthentically and if we run away from what we now know is the dark night of the soul. But in challenges in general. But again, it's all about stepping up, isn't it? And we're going to talk about this more, but bloody patience.
Patience.
Bloody
oh my
patience.
gosh.
Don't even get me started on patience.
No,
but anyway,
do not.
my life lesson that I don't know if I'll ever get it.
We're getting it.
I'll say it again.
We don't like it.
I'll say it again. Bloody patience. But
patience is a virtue.
I want to talk to the person that made it a virtue. But I guess it's about taking your time, not letting your ego rush you, and that concept of the clock is ticking, and just chipping away, just one foot in front of the other. Do what you can on each day, and if there are days where you struggle, that's okay.
It's okay
because that's part of the journey. Being okay with struggle and discomfort and being able to sit with that is part of the journey.
And go with the feelings. Like if you're going through an emotion, try to dig deep, ask more questions, and then find out what it is, and instead of avoiding it. If the answer doesn't come straight away, then you might come next week on that day, or a few months later. Eventually, you'll get the answer. So sit with it, be patient with it. Patience. And then just go with the process. I know it can be daunting, can be stressful, can be scary, but face it and take ownership and appreciate it, because like every challenge, every lesson, acknowledge that yeah, be grateful for that, because it teaches you something. You learn to grow and improve. So
Yeah. As we've sort of already said and hinted, it's actually a great thing that you're going through. Again, you don't have to tell me it doesn't feel like it when you're going through it. 100% it does it. I'm a registered practicing counsellor of 15 years and I have my moments of massive struggle with it. So I know, but it is actually a great thing to go through, and it's a blessing in disguise, if you will. Just
I met this wonderful person along this journey. So so
that's it. Her journey's complete now.
it's complete. No, it's not. But yes, yeah. So that's the beauty about it. Like, I felt like I was alone, but you're actually not alone. So yeah.
So remember, it's not a race. As awful as it feels, it's a great thing. Many different things can trigger it. Like we said earlier, pop in the comments how it started for you. Any other thoughts, questions, or something you're happy to share in relation to this, let us know in the comments below. Is that it?
Yeah.
I reckon we've covered it.
Yeah, I reckon we covered it. So don't forget to press the like button and subscribe, and
she practiced that for ages. She's practiced that for ages.
You should have seen me suck up the words many times, but yeah.
And of course, if you need professional help, get professional help in your local town, country, wherever you are. There's no shame in it. It takes a bigger person to ask for help. As I said, I'm a practicing counsellor and I get supervision or counselling as well. I talk to my people about things going on for me, and it's arguably more therapeutic than medication to have chat therapy, as I call it. But certainly utilize, if these videos speak to you, utilize them in a positive way in conjunction with anything else that works for you. So as Calliope said, hit the like button and subscribe and notification. We're going to start pumping out some videos. We're going to try and keep them as regular as possible. If we're a little bit irregular, forgive us. We'll try and get them out there as soon as possible. And there'll be more to come, more ways to reach us to come as we figure all this out and the technology and spruce up our technical skills. But other than that, hope you've enjoyed it. Have a great day, and peace be with you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.